All right, guys, let's get to work on this review video. Oh, there we go. Let's get to work on this review video. I've had a lot of questions on how I'm getting B's and I want to get A's. That's probably the biggest question that I've been getting throughout the last couple of weeks. And I really want you to think about, most importantly, how many things are you copying down versus how many things are you reading and then writing it down as you read it. So when you guys are working on your key terms, a lot of times I see phones are out and you're just copying down pictures of what somebody else has. Okay. Or let's say somebody did the review video and found all the answers to the review video, and you're just copying down what they have. There's a lot to be said about you going out on your own and finding out these answers for yourself. Okay. So I do suggest one of the tools you can do to work with the review video, even within your study group, is the first time you watch it alone. Copy down the questions that I'm prompting to you. Make sure you find all your answers in the PowerPoints and those are posted. Okay. And then compare those notes with somebody else who's done the same. And that way, if you don't see eye to eye on certain things, you can hash it out between the two of you and you can venture into the PowerPoint and say, well, let's have both of these answers down, but I'm going to lean this way. Okay. And then what you need to do is you need to set yourself up to be in a testing situation. All right. Reading isn't studying. You need to either flashcard answers and questions or develop answers and questions, or you need to just cover it up. You need to see, well, what did she say about, for instance, in the beginning of the test, I'm asking about what is or how is the British government going about settling its war debt after the French and Indian War? So you have a question about that. Go to the PowerPoint. What did I say in my lectures concerning how they're going to tax, especially early on? Who's the first group that's going to be taxed? That needs to be a prompt. And then whatever answer you find in the PowerPoint needs to be the answer. So you can make a Quizlet over these things. But that's my big suggestion. So doing things on your own, comparing your answers with somebody else that's done it on their own, right? And then creating some sort of a system where you're challenging yourself like you would do in a test. Okay. So question number one, who's the first to be taxed, right? Because actually I'm giving you part of the answer. We know that taxes are going to be a part of how we're achieving the debt to be paid in the French and Indian War. You will have another question on not just who's being taxed first because of the French and Indian War. I want to know, what does Britain have to do in order to tax in the first place? Because the era of solitary neglect in chapter 4, before we get to chapter 5, the era of solitary neglect was a long era and the colonies have been very autonomous. So the British have to build something up to aid them in being able to tax. I need to know what was an effective tool that the colonies used to get the British to listen to them whenever they were upset. And I want to know why it was an effective tool. It was kind of a part of the process of, we're going to do something, they're going to do something, we're going to do something, they're going to do something. Your next question is, how did the British respond to no taxation without representation? I want to know where that phrase came from. Stamp Act Congress. But I want to know how the British government kind of replied to that. They replied in a certain way. I want to know how those in the Stamp Act Congress responded to comparing events. They compared the first rounds of the Stamp Act and the Quartering Act and the Sugar Act to a previous moment in American history, and they called England this. I want to know what else was inspiring during the 1760s following the Stamp Act Congress. Other groups are going to be inspired to use natural rights. I want to know what that group is and what they did. You have a question about the Townshend Acts. It's kind of like a key termy question, so make sure you know the definition of the Townshend Acts. I want to know where the money is going. You have a question about the Daughters of Liberty. Know everything on that slide. The Daughters of Liberty. How did the Sugar Act affect the merchant class? That's a test question. You have to know every aspect of the coercive acts, every single one. It's one of those questions where you literally, like, I have things with commas. Like, you have to know everything. Go into the PowerPoint, make sure you know everything on the coercive acts. I want to know how New England felt in the First Continental Congress. New England feels a different way than the middle colonies. You have to know how the middle colonies felt, and you have to know how New England felt. First Continental Congress, 1774. The Tea Act. You got to know what it was. Make sure you go to the PowerPoint slide and know what the Tea Act was. I want to know, why did slave owners start to shift towards the patriot cause? Your planter elite shift first, and then your tenant farmers and your yeomen, they shift second. Because remember, the colonies, we have a big theme here. Does everybody want to go to war? No. But slowly but surely, different groups are going to latch on. Your planter elite latch on because of a specific reason. Your tenant and your yeomen, they latch on because of another reason. Both of these reasons have to do kind of sort of with slaves. I want to know the immediate effect of Lexington and Concord. I want to know why common sense was significant. So go to that PowerPoint slide on common sense. The stuff that's in yellow and in white, that's like bolded and underlined. You need to know those things. You have a passage from a historian pertaining to common sense. So again, the more you know about common sense, the better. I would encourage you to go into the text and read. Also, my lecture notes in the slide. Make sure you know as much as you can about what his goal was, common sense. So that's your, you have 2 questions about a historian's perspective on common sense. You have a question on concerning the Battle of Trenton. Make sure you know the significance of Trenton. Make sure you know the significance of Saratoga. Make sure you know the financial crisis. Now I'm in chapter 6, okay? Make sure you know what was one of the aspects of the financial crisis during the war. You have to know the significance of the Battle of Yorktown. And now we're heading into that video that I shot yesterday and our station work that we're doing on Thursday. I want to know as much as you can about the articles. Why was it bad? Where was power? And what was good? So you have one thing that's good. You got to know where most of the power actually resided in the articles. And then you got to list all the things that were really bad about the articles, because you have a couple of questions about that. I want to know what was great about the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. The only good thing about the Articles of Confederation. So there's your answer right there. I want to know the outcome of the Great Compromise. Great Compromise. I want to know the outcome of the Great Compromise. I want to know what compromise dealt with slavery. Federalist number 10. You gotta know Federalist number 10 is a key term. You're going to have a station 4 and 8 is going to be Federalist number 10. So this is going to help you. Your station work is going to help you find the answer to that. I want to know how Patrick Henry felt about the ratification of the Constitution. Where was he? Was he a Federalist? Was he an anti-Federalist? Why was he a Federalist or an anti-Federalist? What were those things that, if you look at the PowerPoint, I have them listed with commas, the things that he was really maybe fearful of or apprehensive towards. Virginia, Massachusetts, and New York were given a negotiation to ratify the Constitution. I want to know what they negotiated. Delaware, New Jersey, Georgia, and Connecticut were given a negotiation. They're going to be the first to do something, and I want to know why and what they did. And you'll find it in the reading, and you'll also find it in the PowerPoint slide. Shays Rebellion. Make sure you know the story, and I can add a video if we need to add a video, but make sure you know Shays Rebellion. And then you have a passage about the Articles of Confederation that you have to read. And it's mostly about the perspective of a document. So just make sure, again, when I tell you what's bad, what's good, and where power is, that's going to help you tremendously to get this question correct. Let me read over it just a little bit. Yeah, once you read it, you should be able to be good. All right, that's the test. It's only 36 questions. So again, watch this one time on your own, find your answers in the PowerPoint. I would watch it again just to make sure you didn't miss anything. I tried to pause as best as I could in between the questions. Find a buddy, compare answers, and create something that has answers and questions on it. So you're challenging yourself. You're putting yourself in a testing scenario. Okay? Now study.